Welcome back to the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show. This is weird to open the segment because Mike
floor
usually
is
doesn't
yours,
let me do this. Brand new game. You jump on it. That's the thing. Anyway, brand new game. We're workshopping here. All right.
Workshopping.
Yeah, workshopping. We're figuring this out as we go.
Spawn.
Taylor Swift. The concept simple, so Mike can
Are
play.
you ready for it?
It is survive or advance, and today
Survivor.
we're focusing on supposedly unbreakable records. This came in the wake of Freddie Freeman reaching the 2,500 hit plateau. And a little bit was made on like, hey, what a great career Freeman's had, but he's still 500 away from 3,000, which kind of puts in perspective where the top end of the line guys are in terms of certain statistical categories. So I was like, okay, let's take a look at unbreakable records and see what we can go from there. So the question is relatively simple. Will this thing survive, or will the sport advance to take it down? And it can be records related, it could be penalties related. There's certain elements we can take this game in the future, but today we're just focusing on the unbreakable records in sports. Kelly's already on here, so
I know. Well, I was like, am I going to play this game? And then I decided I do want to play the game. So I
That's
brought myself in.
We want you to play the game.
all right, let's kick things off with VO50 here. Most consecutive Major League Baseball games played. This is like the first thing most people think of when they think of unbreakable records.
Yeah.
Cal Ripken Jr. with 2,632 games just on the rip. Does anyone think this is going down?
Never.
No.
Who's even like
Never.
the current leader?
That
think
is the
Matt-
next thing. VO51. Does this change?
Matt Olson?
It is Matt Olson with the Braves at 782.
Thank you.
It's shocking to me that no one is even close to 4 digits.
There's no way that this is ever going to be broken
Ever.
because the people don't play the game the same way anymore.
Ever.
How much of that, though, is, and I guess the best way to put this is it the variability of the game? Is it injuries? Is it protecting guys? Like
It's protecting.
yeah?
But I think it's all of it because you do still have guys that want to play every day. Corey Seager wants to play every day, but he just got hurt.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, Simeon was on a great Ironman run back in the Rangers.
Yes.
So
There are plenty of guys, I think, still in the league, probably dissimilar from the NBA in a lot of ways, although not that the NBA is devoid of people that want to do this, that want to play every day. But the combination of having that desire, having the ability to stick around for long enough, and then also just having the raw injury luck to be able, yes.
There were times he must have played hurt.
Well,
yeah.
Right, but there's a difference between playing hurt and playing injured. There's a difference between being hurt and being
Well, like,
injured.
think about what
Some
they do
guys
with-
do get genuinely injured, and there's not the option
Yeah,
to
there's
go out
nothing
there
you can
and
do
play
about
hurt.
it. But like, think about what they do with pitchers now. Pitchers
Yeah.
hit that number and they get pulled no matter how their game is going,
yeah. I was
and
gonna
they have to argue to stay in.
It's I think load management is such a different topic now than it ever was during the days in which Cal was playing. I mean, literally yesterday, Rangers manager Skip Schumacher said, look, we have 23 games over the next 24 days. There are going to be players who, even if they feel fine and want to play, I will not play because of sheer load management. And I think just given, like, it's such a more analytical based game now that
Yes.
they're taking that type of stuff into account. The fact that Matt Olson's at 782 is impressive. But to your point, like, no one's even close to hitting 40.
Nor
Because
will
it's
they
making
be.
me think of former Braves manager Bobby Cox, who was at least somewhat a contemporary of Ripken's career.
Yeah.
Even he would have the mentality of, oh, you're ready? See you tomorrow.
Yeah.
You're not playing. You're telling me you're ready today? You're not playing today. You'll play tomorrow. So, like, even back then, there was some of this starting to come into the game.
So just to put a bow on this real quick before we go long on one specific one of these things.
I knew it was going to happen.
But I'm just curious, the room's perspective on load management in general. We think it benefits players, but the NBA runs into this all the time where guys still get injured. It doesn't save them from the injury bug, technically speaking. And you might save them for a bigger game, but it doesn't necessarily mean he'll perform in that big game because they like the rhythm of it. Do you think that mentality has hurt sports like baseball or like basketball to some degree?
I think that
A little.
I think it hurts in the moment because if you're in the stands watching a game, I'm going to go back to baseball, you want to see the guy pitch a complete game. You want to see him be able to go for the perfect game if it's going that way. But we have seen that the longevity of the career is shortened by letting those things happen. So
I don't know. I think of Nolan Ryan, and I'm like, he pitched forever in a day. But it's a
different
different
era.
game.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah,
it's a different era,
game.
and like he wasn't hitting. What was the Miz doing? 102, like 44 pitches in one
It
game.
was insane.
Yeah. So
Crazy.
I don't know. I think it hurts it, from like a who do you see on the field, but maybe I don't know.
Interesting. All right, Cal survives. Moving on. Let's advance. Most points in NHL history is Wayne Gretzky at 2,857. I just like throwing that up there because every time Gretzky's records come up, you just look up and go, "Oh my goodness, that's incredible."
Yeah.
But also, we just had Ovechkin chase down the goals record. So the only reason why I bring it up, just to
So this is points.
exactly. And does anyone want to guess who's second on the list?
Is it Lemieux?
No. Lemieux is part injury
it-
too.
It's not Ovechkin.
It is not Ovechkin. No, he is
Gordie Howe?
primary goal scorer. No, not Gordie Howe. Let's reveal
Mika Rantanen.
Sidney Crosby, current active leader
1,700.
at 1,746 points.
So
So
he's also number 2 all time.
no,
in
no,
addition to
it
being-
wasn't about that. I
Oh.
probably reframed that incorrectly. I was just thinking current guy.
I got you. Okay.
Because like
That was why I went like Gordie Howe. And
you're right. You're
Yeah.
right. That's my fault. I fall on the sword on that one. I do not survive or advance.
But it's active players because will
Right.
it ever be broken?
Exactly.
no
Like that's kind of the question. So think about Sidney Crosby's career and how incredible that he's been, and he's still 1,100 points behind at this point.
And I don't think he has
Jaromir
that many
Jagr
years left.
is number 2.
Yes.
Just for reference, all time. And
Oh God,
number
how long
2.
has he been in the league?
Number 2.
Well,
at
he never officially
800
retired.
officially, but he hasn't played since
I know.
2018.
I know.
He's number 2, and he's more than 800. I'm sorry, more than 900 points behind Gretzky.
Yeah. So, but again, Crosby, incredible career. He's only 200 behind Jagr.
Right.
Like that. It just puts in perspective what
How good he
Gretzky
was.
accomplished.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
I feel really old because I remember when he was the young gun in the league.
80s person. By the way.
That's a different conversation.
Anyway,
You are an 80s baby.
but to kind of put that in perspective, like to me, the sport has evolved in a way that scoring. It's weird to think that scoring is easier in today's hockey, but a guy like Gretzky, who was a modern player and in the old game, just dominated.
Yeah.
It's one of those weird spots where one guy was just the progenitor of the modern sport versus the vice versa of it, where it's like the sport evolves to create something new.
It's interesting
think-
how Gretzky and Jordan were similar in that regard. That they were,
Ahead of their time.
because like,
Yeah.
especially now, for anybody to be talked about in, oh, he's the greatest player we've ever seen in this sport, is a really difficult conversation for anybody to have.
Yeah.
But for both of those guys, when they were playing, that was the case, and nobody argued against it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even while they were still actively playing, that's the dude. He's
Yeah.
the best, and it's like, holy smokes, it's not even close.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go back to the game, and I'm going to say that at some point that will fall, but not with any current active player.
You think?
I would agree with that part. I'm just curious to see how, because I think the NHL is trying to engage more scoring just in general. You see what the Stanley Cup Final is like right now, where it's
Yep.
like 9 goals per game minimum.
Yeah.
And
That's fair.
it's fantastic to watch, but also it's like we had a conversation about golf and the strokes under par, and the activity of seeing the best in the world look like the best in the world offensively. Every league has leaned more toward offense at a
Yes.
certain point.
So I think that one falls, but not with anybody who's currently in the league.
The
All right.
NHL leader for points during the regular season this year,
Macklin
if I can get this to come up. Connor
is
McDavid.
excellent airtime.
Yeah.
Connor McDavid had 138 points this season. In order to have a 20-year career that would lead you to surpass Wayne Gretzky, you would have to have 20 consecutive seasons of 142.8 points per
season.
season. So you'd have to lead the league in scoring for 20 years straight
In 20
to
years,
even
we're
have a
gonna meet
chance.
back here, and I'm going to tell you I was right. It'll be
And it
like
will be- and it will
Sleepless
be
in Seattle
Wyatt
at the top of
Johnston.
the Empire State Building, but with me telling you I was right.
it'll be Wyatt Johnston in Plano.
Oh, my heart.
My heart.
All right, let's move on here. Most rushing yards in NFL history. Emmitt Smith with 18,355.
Never will be touched.
Really?
With the way that the game, with the way
I was
the
gonna
game
say,
has changed,
yeah.
It's so much more of a passing league now.
a
Nobody's
passing game
running
now.
enough.
Okay, so who do you think is the active guy that's chasing him down?
Derrick
Who's closest?
Derrick Henry.
Right.
Yeah.
Where is he?
12-ish?
13,000.
Just over
Oh, that's
13.
not bad.
So I'm just throwing this out there. He could be second all time in 2 seasons. Like, legitimately.
Does he have that much time left?
Well, he's 32. Emmett rushed until he was 34. It obviously depends on how much his body holds up and the offensive line in front of him. Like if the Ravens, for instance, put a solid offensive line in front of him and he doesn't feel like he's got the same wear and tear, that's an interesting discussion to me. And at least because I'm looking at, like, Frank Gore got to 1,600 even, or 16,000 even, excuse me. And if Derrick Henry's 2 1,500-yard seasons away, and granted, that's a lot for a running back. I'm not suggesting it's not difficult to achieve,
Right.
but it's also kind of been relatively close to his pace in recent years.
Yeah.
What was his number last year? How many did he have last year? Pulling it up, he had 1,500 last season.
Yeah.
After 1,900 the year prior.
So, like, there's a
So
chance
maybe
by
that one falls.
there's a chance by 34, which is when Emmett retired, that he's at the 1,600-yard mark.
But then he'd have to stack
16,000.
another 1 or 2 seasons on top to actually chase down Emmett.
Sure, I understand that part, but by that point, he's got a pedigree that, like, Adrian Peterson had, where he doesn't have to stay on one team. He can kind of pigeonhole his way around, like, maybe he gets 400 yards in a season, maybe he gets 7, and he can kind of chip away at it.
If he gets the itch, if he gets close enough and gets the itch, you know what? I'm going for this thing. Yeah, maybe.
Because I do think there are certain franchises that will look at that and, like, we want that moment with our squad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, to his point, though, the game has just changed from a concept perspective to where you're just not even getting that many rushes a game.
Yeah, but like you said, like if the team gets behind you, they could try to help you earn that. And going back to the Ripken of it all, there was a certain point where they were helping him achieve that goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but to that point though, like there's been kind of this weird, not anti-passing, but efficiency passing, where they want the numbers to be he'll only throw 25 and complete 20 instead of we're going to have him throw 50 times a game. 50 is not.
Listen, he's on the right roster
Yes.
to try and do this thing.
Yes.
He's on the right team. Now I do wonder, what does the new coaching staff, how does that change things? And the other caveat in all of this is he is a running back in the modern NFL. These guys inexplicably, precipitously fall off.
Right. But we've also never seen a body like Derrick Henry.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. No, he's an
Playing that
absolute
position.
freak of nature.
Yeah.
So
I'm
if
gonna
somebody's going
live
to
time
maintain,
check us. We need to get to the last one here.
we do, yeah.
But real quick, just before we move on, because I do want to ask this: is this, if going by that time frame, is Henry going to be the last crack at this?
I don't
It
know
feels
because
like probably, but
well, I feel like football so much so has these evolutions of style of play.
Yeah.
To where I could see kind of like what Kelly said on the last answer, there being this next wave of we kind of transition back to being a run heavy offense.
Yeah.
And then
Big
you get
Ten
a guy
style.
who gets on a team where they are a run first offense and that next
Right.
generation, no active player now, but like next generation does come close.
the next closest is Saquon Barkley at just a little over 8,000.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, one of
okay,
Time
maybe not.
100's most.
I take it back. It's staying.
All right, Emmett survives, and we will end with the fun one. Nolan Ryan, most career strikeouts in MLB history at 5,714, which still doesn't even feel real.
Why is that on the list?
We kind of already,
It's a fun discussion.
adjudicated this. I said it earlier. Pitchers aren't allowed to do this anymore.
Yeah.
But
He also played for 300 years.
which is that's a rough estimate. But
He is the Moses of
it-
baseball.
it is funny to me though, because like 90% of the discourse around Major League Baseball has been it's strikeout central now, and they're trying to buck that trend. But in that realm, like if we can move on to the next VO here, the next closest guy is
Oh,
Justin
my boy.
Verlander.
Tigers baseball.
Perfect timing for a Tigers t-shirt.
But the next closest guy is Justin Verlander, who's not on an active roster right now.
Yeah.
He's currently
Wait,
rehabbing.
he's done.
How did you just say my guy and this guy played for the Astros?
And Tigers
Because
baseball.
he's gonna
a
go
Tiger.
into the hall as a Tiger.
I know, but as a diehard Rangers fan.
No.
No, honey, you don't know me at all.
I'm going to be quiet for the rest of the show.
you got honeyed.
I know. So sorry. I will refrain from speaking. Continue.
Well, I mean, my guy Max Scherzer's 11th on the list. So, like, it is fascinating to me, though. Like, and again, a lot of it is longevity. I understand that part of it. But considering what strikeouts have become in Major League Baseball, all of us look at that and just go, no, they ain't
Nope.
touching that.
Justin
Never.
Verlander will pitch until he's 54, and maybe
No, but
he'll
no,
have
he
a shot
won't.
at
He's
it.
done.
No, I know.
Well, he's currently in a rehab start, so that is
Yeah.
part of this.
If you're
No one's going
Verlander,
to survive.
and listen, you're talking 34 more wins, but don't you like still have that? Like, oh, if I could get to 300, if I
Yeah.
could get to 300.
Yeah.
But that would probably be at least 3 more seasons
because
to
of the way that-
realistically get there, because he's not. I mean, he's not going to be a 20-game winner now at 43 years old.
The other one that Verlander is currently on is complete games. He's the current active leader at 26. Cy Young had 749 complete games.
because the game.
I
is
know.
played
I
so
understand that.
differently now.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying if
What did you just say?
if Verla-
700.
Cy Young numbers don't make sense.
They don't. No. Like as
What
much as
on earth?
Gretzky was the modern Cy Young in a lot of ways. When
Yeah.
you look at it, you just go like, "There's no way." That makes
just-
you can't even conceptualize it.
I'm
Anyway,
bringing the music in.
that was
I
very
loved
first-
our game.
The very first
Great game.
survive or advance.